Welcome to Straight Outta Savannah. I am super excited. My guest, Tammy Lip, is here, and I'm so excited because it has been years that I've been wanting to get this young lady on my platform. And so here she is. So she's going to tell you a little bit about who she is, what she does, and how she can help you. Tammy, take it away.
Thank you for having me. And so it's like a hot Tammy fest today on your show. And I just love that so much. And I'm so excited to be here. I have been such a fan of yours ever since we met years ago on the interwebs. And thanks for inviting me here. For anyone who does not know me, I am Tammy Lip. I am the founder of Intuitive Living Out Loud, a community for women who want to live in alignment with their cyclical nature and develop their intuition as a spiritual language. I'm an intuition development coach, a psychic medium, energy healer. I work as an energetic reader. I access the Akashic realms to help people bring messages from spirit and from their higher selves. I do some channeling, some energy healing. I lead live events, group readings, meditations, workshops. I do private events as well as larger audiences and larger communities. So that's more of what I want to do this year, moving forward in the Fire Horse year.
That is so amazing. I just love all of those things. And we are so connected and so in tune. And I'm like, wow, she does all the things I do.
You we have the same name, girl.
We do. And like and spelled the same, spelled right.
I know. I don't know about you, but I've always had a bit of a thing with my name. Like I always wanted like Tamara to be my name. For some reason, to me that felt more beautiful. Tammy always felt like just cute, and I wanted to be beautiful. And then I was mad at my mom because I was like, the I doesn't feel balanced. Like I need a Y to balance the name, which is just a psycho Virgo ridiculous thing to think that you need a different letter in your name to make it right. Over the years, I've embraced it because not a lot of people have the spelling, and I've come to appreciate the soul contract. My husband's name is Matthew, and so we have the same like with the two MATT, TAM. So it's the thing with like doubles in our letters. So I appreciate my name these days. Did you always like your name, or how did you feel about your name?
I did. Okay. So I actually did like my name, but I found out where I got my name from. And that actually made me really like it. My dad named
Ooh.
me after Tammy Terrell. She used to sing with Marvin Gaye.
She sings a lot of amazing things. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite songs. I'm in perimenopause, so like I'll really be thinking of something and then it
Oh,
just goes away.
girl.
I was just singing in the car the other day to her song with Marvin Gaye. My son was like, "Oh my god, her name is like your name," and I'm like, "Oh, yes, she's amazing." So I do know the song, and it'll come through when we hang up on the door. But that's a good thing. I love that you're named after her.
I didn't know. I was like, wow. And I like to sing. I was like, imagine that. But it was so amazing because you could never find your name on a keychain. It was all either
Nope.
T-A-M-I or Tammy. And then I have a friend.
I'm partly why I was so upset about that. I wanted the Y so I can buy a friggin' keychain in the 80s.
Yeah, no. But now they found them. They started doing them. But I have a friend. Her name is Tammy, Tammye.
Oh, Tammy. Okay. So I've seen a couple different Tammy spellings, and I'm like, okay, it could have been worse. But I'm definitely could have did worse.
Yeah, okay, did I'm worse. I'm good with it. I was actually surprised to be
I know. I love that. We were. Ooh.
Yeah, but my cousin
Wendy.
came before.
I see. I definitely see a Tammy. I think
My cousin did not
do well for you.
Yeah, I was good with it.
Cheers to our moms who at least gave us a great name and helped to bring us together. Because that's part of the reason I was like, look at this chick with the same name as me. I love her already.
The funny thing is, a girl with my exact same name friended me on Facebook. Her name is Tammy Morrison. It was so wild.
That is wild. Man. It's so wild. Oh, I love that.
It was amazing because she looks like you. So I wanted to see something up to you.
And the
same name. And I was like, cool, okay. But it worked out pretty good.
I thought I was special because we had the same first names, but I didn't know there was another Tammy Morrison out there.
And I was like, when I looked at it, I went, no way. And then I told my husband, I said, look what you did.
So we could have a Tammy convention.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Like only for people named Tammy, because we're not, but okay. I'm sure people are like, all right, enough with the friggin' Tammy names. All right, let's go on.
Right? So I want to ask you this question. You help people bridge the seen and the unseen worlds. How does that bridge become even more essential for women navigating this midlife reinvention?
Oh, that is such a great question. I think I mentioned before I'm in perimenopause. I'm 48 years old, so I'm like in that beautiful sweet spot.
Like my
Hmm.
grandma said, live a little longer, girl. I'm 57 and yeah,
Yeah, I'm racing it, but
yeah,
being in connection with your spirituality is imperative for women our age because I say that menopause and perimenopause is not the end of our journey. It's a second blossoming, right? And I love that because the minute that intuition and download came to me, then I started finding women who also have been saying that quietly for decades. No one's been listening to them, but we really are, we are only one of three or four species that even goes through menopause. So you have
damn.
humans, you have some dolphins, not even all dolphins, and you have whales, right? And that is who goes through menopause. No one else. And I was so fascinated by that. But there's a theory, and that's because we are not designed to procreate up until the end of our lives, because then we would be busy raising kids and not have enough time to teach future generations the wisdom that we have learned, because it's called like the grandmother wisdom. There's
Yeah.
a really poetic name to it that's escaping me. But basically, it means that women are the keepers of the wisdom. We're the ones who pass on the wisdom to the future generations. And if we are busy rearing children up until the end of our lives, like most mammals do, then we don't have time to do that. But like whales and like some dolphins, we stop having babies long enough to be able to teach our grandkids and our great grandkids how to live, hunt, be in the world, right? We are not intended to procreate till the end. And men can do that. And I would say that's because men are not meant to rule the world. Men are not meant to be the wisdom keepers. No offense to our men friends. I love men, married to one, I grew one myself, but they're not meant to be the wisdom keepers of the world. It's a woman's place.
Yeah.
And that's why women go through menopause. It is just to cease the fertility journey, but it is not a cessation of our journey as a woman. And so when you are spiritually connected and you understand this, you don't buy into the hype of what outside is telling us about our bodies and how to handle it and how to support ourselves. You are able to navigate for yourself and to advocate for your body, because any woman over 30 knows if you go to the doctor and say that you have some kind of a pain or some kind of a symptom, 9 times out of 10, they're going to blame it on something that's obscure, your weight, your hormones, some bullshit. And they don't even hear you out. They don't even help you. And women, if
No,
you're
dear.
no, and we are cyclical in nature. We are chaotic by nature. And there's so much to it that is ignored in Western medicine. So if you're not intuitive, you're not able to tap into your own body wisdom and to understand what you need. That is why we are in the situation. So many women who are past a certain age have gotten into some trouble. And my mom is one of those women, partly why I'm so passionate about the work that I do and about women really understanding this about themselves and getting in touch with this part of themselves. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity, right? And look
Yes.
at AI. How can you navigate a world if you're not in touch with what's bullshit right in front of your face? Because being in touch with your intuition is having that internal bullshit meter that you can see something and you're like, oh, that's generated. That's not real. There's no human energy behind that. You can have that barometer. Every single human, women and men, are able to have that level of sensitivity, level of awareness. And that is, to me, like everyone's screaming about AI. I'm over here like intuitive intelligence is way more important for navigating today's world, metabolic or not.
Absolutely. That is something that needs to be talked about more because you don't hear a lot of that. You hear a lot of noise, really. And I think that I'm so grateful for the We Do Not Care Club coming forward because to me, that was something that was necessary and give homage to Just Being Melanie for coming up with that thing because that is so huge. And it's begun to open up that conversation on this as part of midlife. And well, I'm just so grateful. that we're now having those conversations and that people can understand, because nobody told us. Nobody told me that this was the shit that I was going to go through. Nobody told me that. No, my mother told me at 50 that I needed to moisturize. So my mother told me at 50, because I never put anything on my skin. I'm one of those people. I rarely wear any makeup. Like, I had full face of makeup I had last when I got married 10 years ago. So I don't do it. All the old makeup I had to throw out because it's too old. So I don't hardly wear it.
I'm learning how to do my makeup better these days because I'm on stage and doing some more speaking gigs, and you have to have a certain made up presence. And so I'm learning how to like do it. But when I'm home, you'll never catch me just hanging out with you on. You'll see the
Lipstick, and that is about it. I like the lashes, and if I could find the magnetic ones that I can work with, I'll do those. Or I don't do it. So that was what I got. I didn't get menopause. And you're going to have all these things happening to you and all kinds of crap going on with your lady bits and stuff that happens. I'm like, nobody said anything about it. And it's like people just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny is when I was a kid, I read that book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yes,
He's one of my favorite authors. I think you have read that thing about 90 fucking times. And where's the menopause version of this shit? Because that's exactly like what we need. Like, we need a great menopause story that really helps us to talk about the itchy ears and the weird shit that is just like, what is even happening in my body right now? I said to my husband the other day, he looked at me, I snapped at him for, you're having a hot flash. And he like he didn't know, but he like jokingly came up behind me and rubbed up against. That is like the worst moment to rub up against your woman. And I snapped at him and he just looked at me and gave me like, I'm not afraid of you. And I was like, you just enjoy your stable hormones. Okay. You just enjoy your stable hormones. Like you have no idea what's going on inside of our bodies with your one hormonal profile your whole life. Just go away.
When you get that internal heater, they're like, the heat is right here and it's just going.
Yeah. And that's when you want your husband up against you, like joking around. You're like,
girl, I threw the covers. I felt bad.
We were in the kitchen. We were just standing around the kitchen. I was getting something.
Don't touch me.
He was like, he had to get something to like reach around me, and he was just kidding and being funny. And I was just like cooking and not. And he just looked at me, and I was like, you just enjoy your stable hormones. Go away.
I know, it's just not fair, is it?
No, but you know what? I'm embracing the right now. I'm in perimenopause, so I'm still cycling. I'm still on the roller coaster, and I'm embracing this part of the journey.
You got to start talking to your cells and your nervous system and telling them that this is war.
Here's the thing is like, I'm one of those weird people that not that I'm afraid not to have my period, but like I have come to love what my period means, like the connection that it is with the divine, the connection with the moon, the connection with our planet, the toxic grid that it is. Like it gets rid of toxins and cleans your body out. And it's like it's a beautiful process. And I feel like I'm just starting to understand it and get to know it and appreciate it for what it is and use my bleeding time in a sacred way and live in tandem with my cycles and teach this to other women. And I'm like, I'm not ready for it to end. Like I want it to end someday, but I'm not ready for it to end because I'm just getting to know it. And I've just started to appreciate it and love it instead of wishing it away and taking my pill. I was one of those people that would take my pill for a long time, so you would skip it.
You can have that without that.
What do you mean?
You just have to make up in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
You can have that without having the bleeding part.
Absolutely. And I teach, like when women say, Tammy, I don't get a period anymore. How do I work with the moon? How do I track my cycles? And I say, you use the moon then in replacement of your own cycle. And there is a way that you can track your own symptoms because even though we don't bleed, we still cycle. We still go through a cycle. And you can still see, right? You can still see your cycling even though you're not bleeding.
My doctors said that I was still for a long time and I felt it. But I had a hysterectomy. I haven't. Almost 2 decades almost.
So we still cycle. I know that it'll be a different part, but for me, I'm really enjoying what it means.
But if that's the case for you, then that is awesome.
I'm curious.
They're all wanting to get rid of it, tired.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I'm like, right, how long is it going to come? How long is it going to be regular?
I hate open. I can remember a couple of aunties were in their 60s, and I even had heard. Now I didn't know this one. This was way back when. Of one of them that had a baby at 16. Wow. And I thought, wow, no, absolutely not.
No, my grandmother was the product of an accidental pregnancy. Her mom was, I think, in her late 40s or mid 40s. I don't know the exact time of her, but she was definitely had older children and hid the pregnancy, hid the baby, hid the whole thing, hid the whole thing.
How does that even work?
The story goes, her older sister, who was married at the time, they came over and they were suspicious, obviously, and they heard a baby crying. And she was like, "You don't hear a baby crying." And my grandmother's sister's husband was like, "I hear a baby crying." You can say that there's not a baby, but and they passed her into the bedroom, and there was my grandmother in a crib, and they were like, it was
Yeah, no, she was fine.
she hid the pregnancy, she hid the whole thing.
How do you hide a was she a big woman?
I think she was probably overweight. I don't know. The pictures I see of her, she was not, but she was younger. I guess this was the 30s, so I don't know how many photos there are of her. Her kids were older and married and doing their own things, so I don't know how often they were seeing her either. I don't know. And again, these are stories that come down years. That what comes down for me is the hiding, the story of hiding, the story of shame of who you are. And my grandmother grew up with so much shame and so much guilt. And then she was raised by nuns because her father died when she was like, I think 6, and her mom had a breakdown because her older sister, who was married at the time, the war was going on, and she got pneumonia and died. There was no penicillin in the hospitals. And so my great grandmother lost her oldest daughter and her husband in a short period of time. And my grandmother was sick. When she lost her mind and couldn't take care of my grandmother anymore. And so my grandmother went to live in an orphanage with the nuns and stayed there. She was there until she was 17 when she graduated, and then she got out, and then she met my grandfather very soon after that and got married. As it was for her, the shame of her mom the whole time being pregnant. We start picking things up in utero.
Yeah.
Our subconscious, right? We know it starts forming in utero. So her subconscious was formed that you're a mistake, you're a burden, you're not wanted, shame, guilt. So that was, and they say you start life in your grandmother's body. There's my mom, there's a little egg, there's me. There's a little,
In the DNA, and it's down.
right? And there we go, boom. And then my grandmother had her own set of challenges in her life. And it was very much about overcoming religious abuse and religious toxicity and the patriarchy. And so I feel I never really called myself like a deconstructionist, but somebody said that to me the other day. They were like, "Oh, it sounds like very deconstruction," because I feel like religion is great if you get something good out of it, but I feel like there is so much misguidedness in organized religion, and so much divisiveness, so much abuse,
So manipulation and so much fucking brainwashing.
they're terrible. But I'm honest,
that.
where I also feel like there is truth in every religion. And like we had talked offline a little earlier, that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Yeah,
You just
right.
religion is all evil. There's nothing to gain out of it. You will miss. There are nuggets to pull out of every religion, every single one. But if you follow one of them blindly, thinking that it has all of the truth, you are going to be very misguided. That's just my
And be
opinion.
disappointed.
So my grandmother was raised in that kind of an environment. So I come along and here I am as a baby. I couldn't hardly talk. I was maybe in diapers still, old enough to be on my own. I remember being in church and my grandmother sitting next to me, praying on her knees into the Catholic Mass. There's a portion where you're sitting on your knees and they ring the bell and you knock on your heart the whole 3 times. And I distinctly remember hearing the voice in my head, "This is wrong. This is all wrong." And so I'm sitting in church and it's all, ooh, there's my grandmother knocking on her heart and everyone's all in prayer. And I want to be a good little girl and be this devout little Catholic. And I'm like, this is wrong. And now I'm thinking, shit, I'm the devil. Because here I am in the church, right? I'm thinking this is all wrong. I must be evil. Something must be wrong with me. And then, of course, growing up as a little girl with gifts and seeing things and hearing things and experiencing things, like I really did think I was fucking crazy, which is why my signature talk is called "You're Not Crazy, You're Intuitive," because we're all crazy in that way. I've discovered that what I do is nothing special. Everyone can do we all have this beautiful ability, and I love to teach people about it. But here I was thinking I'm evil and And then I get the message that all of these things are evil. Spirituality is evil. Tarot, astrology, all the things that I'm drawn to and love. I'm like, I surely must be the devil. Growing up, I surely must be. So I, as a teenager, long story short, became an atheist and was like, oh, I don't even believe in God, like that nonsense. And I was just like, I'm just spiritual and didn't even see the connection.
Oh, synapse.
Until as a 16-year-old, you think you know everything. And I was like, yes, you do. Yeah, you do. And it doesn't, it's bullshit. There's no God. It's just spiritual. And so I started diving deep, and then people would like want to pay me for my readings. And then I got scared because there was that programming. Because even though consciously I was like, fuck you, church, but there was that subconscious programming of you're going to go to hell if you get paid for your gift. And it's a long story, but I had an aunt who was a psychic, not a blood aunt. And my mom judged, and my mom were not friends. And so there was a lot of judgment about how she earned her living and how she earned her money. So here I am. I was like, threw my cards in the closet, and I was like, I'm not touching that shit ever again. And I didn't touch it for a really long time. But my spiritual awakening, ultimately, you can't suppress this. You can't hold it down. It'll make it, you're crazy. And so after I had my son and it was brimming out of me, I started realizing that I actually have a lot of gifts, that I'm actually very talented and I'm not crazy, and that I do believe in God, believer, but I also believe so within the core of me that not only is God real, but God is here, God is there, God is everywhere. We are all gods. We all are a piece of this beautiful, creative thing that is moving, this animation that moves this world. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be in this body, this beautifully imperfect, perfect body, and this beautifully imperfect, perfect life, having this journey as Tammy, playing with you, Tammy, in this world. Like, it is such a thing. And I laugh because I was an atheist. So I say I came full circle, and now I help people. And if someone comes to me and says, I'm an atheist, can I still work with you? And I'm like, oh yeah, because it's not a requirement for me that you believe in God for you to get in touch with spirituality or to be in touch with that divine wisdom that flows through us. If you believe it and if you want to engage in it, you can, no matter what you can call it, the flying spaghetti monster. I don't care what you call it. If God, if the word
And you
God,
know what else? God doesn't care either.
correct.
Correct.
So we can call it whatever you want to call it. So I work with people of all faiths. I raised my son Jewish. My husband's Jewish. We live as like a Jewish pseudo-Christian because I bring in some of my family traditions. We don't go to church, but I do teach him who Jesus was and give him the story. And he loves his Jewish faith and he's really into it. But we have a lot of different influences here, and we're open. And it's just it's a different way of being in the world. And I just feel so blessed that I get to share that with people, because so many people right now are questioning religion and questioning what they've been told and questioning what they see. And some people are healing from the abuse of the situations, like what my grandmother lived. Imagine like living in a convent and what was done to a little girl who was 6 years old. You know what I mean? And here we are. So many people have these stories and they're healing from that, and they're going to maybe new churches, or they're leaving churches or temples, and they're looking for their own version of faith and spirituality. And I love to just be another voice saying, it is real, it is here, it is you, it is me, and this is how you engage with it. There's a language to it. It's very practical, and let's play with it.
It doesn't have to be weird. And so I know you talk about, and we've been talking about amplifying gifts. So what does that look like when a woman finally stops doubting her inner voice and starts living intuitively out loud?
It makes my whole body neighbor children. When I see my clients doing the things in their life, taking the dance classes and going on the trips and doing things that blow my mind, it's just so orgasmic in my body, because women, when you finally realize what you're made of, when you finally get permission to listen to this and you start taking those steps, it is like watching the best movie on TV. It is like watching a fantasy unfold. It's almost addicting, I have to tell you, because I love to grab a woman who's ready and be like, do you know how fucking magic you are? Do you know how all the things you think are weird about you and that you hide? Those are indications of the cool shit you can do that no one else can do, that only you can do, that God gave you to give the world if you want to. And they're like, what? And I'm like, that weird shit you smell, that's your gifts. And they're like, what? Oh my God. And I love when women have that revelation and they realize that They are so much more than what they think they are. Because women especially are taught that we're nothing. We're property. We're not worthy of voting or having our own credit cards or being allowed to drive late at night. Like, we're told all of that bullshit. And honestly, if it wasn't for us, man wouldn't be here. We birthed this whole world. And girls, you get to do it all. You get to do it all. And if you're thinking about it, if you're dreaming about it, hear me when I say this, you could not be thinking or dreaming about it if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't available to you, you would not be able to have the concept in your mind. So, whatever it is, just know that it wants you back. And if you can just trust and surrender and say, God, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I want to go there, take me there, you will get there. You will get there.
That's powerful. So I have one more question as we prepare to land this plane. If there was anything in the world that you could change, what would that be and why?
I think originally the thing is I wouldn't want to change anything for myself personally, because even though this is an imperfect body on an imperfect journey, I know that it's perfect for my own soul's spiritual development.
Yeah.
But if I could change anything, I think it would be, and I was going to say about the war, but I think I'm even going to take it a step further. If I could change anything, I would make this a world where innocent people, children, elderly, animals could not be harmed, where it would be impossible for innocent souls to be harmed. And I know that takes away contrast and experience and learning opportunities, but I just think that we have jumped the shark with the level of violence and harming that we are experiencing externally, right, and internally.
Yeah.
And the level of violence that we see on the outside, it makes me sad, because I know that means that so many people on the inside are feeling that way and are experiencing that on the inside, right? Because the outside is a reflection of the inside. And so that makes me, it makes me sad. And so if I could change anything, I would change the human tendency to harm. And
I love that. I love that. Because I asked that question and I've gotten so many answers. I think I've done over 200 interviews and I've gotten so many different answers. And all of them, I feel like, are from the heart because I've gotten stuff like racism. And then somebody said greed, things like that. And then there was one lady that said, nothing. I wouldn't change anything. I thought so. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good because most people want to change something. And then somebody else said they would change the fact that and make it so that children, when they came here, they could get a Welcome to Earth guide with their human design in it. I thought that was so cool.
Here's a little manual for you
Yeah,
kids.
right. Welcome to Earth. I'm like, it's be pretty good because I think probably if parents knew what their kids' human design was, they could probably raise them better.
Yeah. Or even just understanding energy.
Yeah.
And that energy has frequency and types and flavors.
Yes.
And understanding your flavor and your kids and your partners and
Yes.
your friends and how to recognize those flavors in other people
Yeah.
helps us to relate. It's such a powerful practice, whether you do it through the lens of astrology or human design or energetics or whatever, however you do that, to be that aware. I think that's how we get to world peace. I think that's how we get to that stage.
Yeah. And I'm going to speak that's sooner than later.
Okay.
But
If two Tammys say it, maybe it'll be true.
yeah, I was going to say, we are using our words for good and not evil.
Yeah, one. Yeah. For the
I tell
highest good
every
of
one of my kids, I said, you got to use your words for good and not evil.
Yeah.
I said, and when I say evil, I mean something that's bad for you.
Yeah. Anything that drives us into more of separation and further away from unity is not the goal. And that's just take the word sin, right? Sin just means to miss the mark. And what is the mark? The mark is unity. The mark is creativity. The mark is love. The mark is oneness. The mark is evolution. And anything else is missing the mark. And it's not as dramatic, right, as though being a sinner, but we want to try to aim for the thing.
Yes, that is so real and so true. I think that a lot of times in religion, they keep you at this place. They don't seem to want you to really grow. I used to go to this one church and they would say, take God out the box. But they didn't.
Right. Remember, Jesus was Jewish, right? So he would go to the temple and he would overturn the collections and he would say, this is not going, you don't have to come to temple and pay to be
He was a
God.
disruptor. And that's the
Right.
thing that people don't realize.
And he was
So,
not here to start Christianity. He was here to
no.
tell you, you are God and you are love. And this is the truth, right? And so I laugh when I'm like, we don't need to be anywhere or to do anything to be connected to God. We are
That's right.
always connected in every single moment, wherever you go. That's the truth. And if people knew that, religion as the business that it is, because it's a business, it's a tax-free business. Let's just call it what it is.
Yes,
Okay. Because they
yes,
get all the
yes,
breaks. Okay.
yes.
They would not be in business anymore. And that would be bad for them. And here we are.
That is so real. Here you heard it from two Tammys.
From two Tammys on the Tammy Fest.
Tammy Fast, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. This has been such an amazing conversation. We went places I didn't even know we were going to go, but I know and I trust that you have gotten something amazing. And so make sure that you follow Tammy Lip. All of her details will be in the show notes so you can click on them. Thank you so much for joining us and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe wherever you are listening or watching this broadcast. And if you are a spirit entrepreneur and you would like to come on the show and talk about things related to spiritual authority and midlife reinvention, I would love to have you. So just reach out to me on whatever platform you are listening or watching this. Thank you so much for joining. Bye now.